The Compendium Maleficarum by Francesco Maria Guazzo. Book 3, Chapter 4, of Divine and Supernatural Remedies. Argument. There are many remedies of this sort which men ought always to use, for they always help the soul and never harm the body, and often they cure or prevent the sickness and other ills of witchcraft. These have been approved by the wiser physicians and Catholic-minded men, such as Jean Fresnel, Cornelio Gemma, Baptista Cadronci, Andrea Cesalbini, and others. The first of these remedies is a true and lively faith, fortified with the love of God and His Son. St. Paul bids us to take this as a shield. St. Anthony the Great also commends this to his disciples, saying, quote, "O my dearly beloved, a sincere life and a pure faith in God are mighty weapons against the devil." Cornelius Schempensis affirms the same in the following words, quote, "About the time of the Emperor Lothair, there were throughout all Friesland," end quote, etc. And the same author proceeds to say how Saint Cyprian and Lactantius and Ambrosius and Spertus teach that the observance of God's commandments and innocence of life are the most effective remedies possible. And Nider, quoting a certain Peter, praises the following 5 most efficacious remedies: to have an entire faith and keep the commandments of God, to protect oneself with the sign of the cross and with prayer, to honor the rites and ceremonies of the Church, to execute public justice truly, to contemplate aloud or in secret Christ's passion. The second is a lawful use of the sacraments of the Catholic Church, as for example baptism in the case of those not yet initiated into the faith. For it is proved by experience that they who are known not to have been baptized are freed from magic spells by means of unconditionally administered baptism, while for such as may with probability be assumed not to have been baptized, the same benefit is obtained from a conditional baptism. When I speak of a probable assumption, I mean that an unsubstantiated conjecture is insufficient to warrant even a conditional baptism. The third remedy is to have recourse to holy men, and to seek help from them who are known to possess the gift of working miracles, a gift which may be found, though rarely, even in those whose life is not upright, so long as they have the true faith, as may be seen from the Gospels. Although there are hardly any now, at least in Europe, who have this gift, it was formerly much used as a remedy, for all sacred histories are full of examples of men who have profitably had recourse to holy men, and it is agreed that not all they who cast out demons were ordained by the Church into the order of exorcists. Of old, certainly, holy men put to flight and conquered demons simply by their presence, as we read of Saint Macarius of Alexandria in Palladius, chapters 19 and 20, of Aegyptius in Sozomen, Book 4, chapter 20, of Saint Cuthbert in chapter 15, of his life written by Bede, of Saint Rusticus in John Cassian, Collation 14, chapter 7, and many others everywhere in the histories. The fourth remedy is ritual exorcism. Touching this, it is to be noted that this order of exorcists has existed in the Church for 1300 years, as is clear from the Epistle of St. Ignatius to Antioch, and the Epistle of Pope Cornelius to Fabius, preserved by Eusebius, and from the letters of Firmilianus to St. Cyprian, and from other fathers. The fifth way is to seek a remedy by sufficient works of mercy, by fasting, almsgiving, and prayer. Almsgiving is commended by the authority of the canon, chapter Si per sortiarias. With regard to fasting, I find that Saint Auxentius, the abbot, prescribed it to a certain countess, as Metaphrastes records in his life, February 14th. And Saint Procopius, the monk, very often won the victory against the demon by means of fasting. We have, moreover, Christ to witness in Matthew 17 and Mark 29. As for prayer, there survives a verse of an anonymous old versifier, quote, "Against the fiend's might, prayer is a weapon right." The sixth is a devout invocation of the name of the Savior Jesus Christ, or of the Blessed Virgin Mary, or a prayer for help to the guardian angel. All the most ancient ecclesiastical writers assert so firmly and frequently the power of the name of the Savior that it would be superfluous to collect their words. There are many examples of the invocation of the Blessed Virgin, especially that famous one of Theophilus, about which, among others, Honorius of Autun treats in The Seal of Mary. The help from the guardian angel is testified by Origen, Contra Celsum, book 6, and Saint Golenduc, who is mentioned by his contemporary Evagrius, book 6, chapter 19. The seventh is the sign of the Holy Cross, in commendation of which a whole book could be compiled from the writings of the Holy Fathers and from actual examples. See St. Cyprian, Sermon de Passione Christi, Origen upon Job, book 3, Lactantius de Iura Sapientia, book 4, chapter 26. St. Anthony is quoted by St. Athanasius himself, De Incarnatione Verbi, St. Gregory of Nazianzus, his oration, St. John Chrysostom, the 8th homily on the Epistle to the Colossians, and the 50th homily upon St. Matthew, St. Cyril, Diego Niceno the Basilian in the life of the Thaumaturges, St. Jerome in the life of St. Hilarion, St. Augustine de Symbol ad Catechumen, book 2, and Sermon 81 de Tempore, Theodoret in the life of Macedonius, and in Histories, book 3, chapter 3, and book 5, chapter 21, St. Gregory, the Dialogues, book 2, chapter 10, and many others. The eighth safeguard is the relics of the saints, of which we read, quote, "Thy friends, O God, are greatly honored, and their kingdom is very secure." But care must be taken not to mingle certain superstitious rites with this most sacred worship, as Sylvester warns us, speaking of the word relics. For to the saints, superstition is odious, religion is pleasing. This was attested by Saint Glyceria of the Martyr, from whose personal garments there was distilled a most sweet and healing unguent for all diseases. But one day the bishop of Heraclea unwittingly tried to collect the unguent in a silver vase, which had been used for purposes of sorcery, and the holy ointment at once ceased to be distilled. The bishop therefore inquired diligently into the matter and found that the vessel had been used for unspeakable purposes. Therefore he removed it and put another in its place, whereupon the ointment flowed again as before. This is told by Saint Nicephorus. book 18, chapter 32. The ninth remedy is of most ancient standing in the Church, and is of wonderful efficacy, namely, holy water blessed by the solemn rite ordained for its benediction. One sort, which is called baptismal, is consecrated on the eves of Easter and Pentecost. The other, called lustral, is consecrated at prime on every Sunday, and it is avowedly for repelling the attacks of the devil, and for averting other dangers. Its use was known before the time of Pope St. Alexander I, and has always been retained by all Catholics to their great advantage. It is worshipfully mentioned in the life of St. Gregory the Great by John the Deacon, a monk of Monte Cassino, who says that those possessed by devils are delivered when sprinkled with it, and that this miracle is often renewed today among the Indians. Tenthly, there are other things which the Catholic rite is wont to bless for a remedy, as waxen discs, which we call agnus deis, because of the print of a lamb on one side. Of their efficacy there is a book by Vincenzo Bonardo, and Pietro Mattei speaks much of them in the 7th Decretal. When the Pope blesses them, he asks God to grant all kinds of favors to those who wear them devoutly. Of the same sort are blessed grain, blessed candles, blessed salt, and blessed bread. The 11th are pious writings or sacred amulets hung around the neck, such as the Apostles' Creed, the beginning of the Gospel of St. John, or verses of some psalm. These were much used of old, and Manuel de Costa writes that in our own time a devil was driven out of a demoniac at Hormuz by this means. But for this remedy to be lawful, St. Thomas says that there must be two conditions. First, that nothing superstitious is mingled with the sacred words, as that one should put faith in the shape or color of the letters, or the manner of writing, or the material of the paper or the ink, and second, that the wearer's intention must be righteous, and he must piously observe the sense of the words and put his true hope in God. The 12th is the ringing of bells in the Catholic Church, for heretics take more delight in the explosion of grenades. This we know from daily experience to be so hostile and inimical to demons that they are prevented by it from raising up violent storms, and even if they have been already raised, it lulls them or turns them aside elsewhere, as has been rightly asserted by the Council of Cologne, chapter 24. Let us now come to some examples of all these remedies of which we have spoken. For these, for the continuation of this chapter, I will upload further videos, each video dedicated to one section of this particular chapter in the Compendium Maleficarum. If you enjoy this content, especially if it brings good fruit into your life, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing, and hit the bell icon if you would like to be up to date when another video is released. I'm Ingyotis Amicus. God bless.